See if this is working. Press start. Green. Great. Start project up. Okay, I'm just going to build some elements. I'm not feeling too good, so it might not be too long. But I think I got the flu or something. You might hear me cough a few times. I'm sorry about that. Let's start off just making like a little menu thing. So I'm going to start off with a rounded rectangle. And we've animated similar things to this. I'm just going to scale this up so it's nice and big so we can see it better on screen. I'm going to change the Y size. Got a nice round. We'll call this line 1. And I want to change the pivot for this to the left. So when it rotates now, it rotates from the left side. So. And then I'll duplicate this, change this to line 2. I'll number these 1, 2 as well. And this one I want to pivot on the right side. Right side. And I'm going to change the Y position there. And put that. So now it looks like it could be like a menu. So I'm going to just put an axis in front of these two. Actually, I'm going to reset the scale on those, put those back. Scale it up here. Let's fix the position. Just adjust that position back. There we go. It's like a little burger menu icon. You know, you see them on all these mobile UIs and stuff. Okay, so we've got our 2 lines. We're gonna start animating these 2. So I'm gonna take these 2 axes like this. Get keyframe animation. So, okay, I'm gonna take. I'm gonna animate the X, the Y, and the rotation Z. And I'll do the same on this one. X, Y, rotation Z. And then I'm gonna go to my animation. Okay. So at 1 second, so here, easier if I go to 1 second. Snap like that. Set a key. So that's my end state. And then the start, I want it to be across. Actually, let's make this our start state. And then this is the end state here. So the end state, we want to form an X. So we close the menu. So rotate this. Say minus 45. And the other one, 45. Looks wrong. So now we just adjust the X and Y. Probably just the Y position. No, we're going to do the X as well. Just until we get an X. Like that. Set a key. We can change I'm going to change the X and Y in a second. I might have to center it more. So I'm just going to get a rectangle. Oh, rectangle, please. I'm just going to use this as my point of reference for the center of the screen. If I put a color in it, color solid. It'd be nice if there was like, you know, those rulers in Photoshop where you could just drag and have a guide. Yeah, I'll just use that. So that's the center right there. So I'm just going to shift the X position on those keys. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, that looks more central now. So now we go from here to here. Menu open. Well, actually, it should be the other way. But yeah, we can swap the key. Just swap those, select all those keyframes, push those to the end, and put that there. So I can see close the menu and then it goes back to the menu icon. So it doesn't matter what order you start in actually. Let's add a little bit more to this. I'm going to add another bit of, I'm going to add some text here. Maybe a little title. Text 2D. I'm going to use a block text. I'm going to center this text. No, I don't need to center it. I'm just going to scale it down. Just place it underneath so it's aligned to the left. And if I call this menu, like that. And let's add some text effects. Let's see what text effects we should use. Text effects, let's see. Let's try scale effect. Let's see what that looks like. Range. Yeah. And maybe I'll add another text effect so it fades as well at the same time. You can use multiple text effects on the same font. So you just place them in between the node. So I'm going to have that and have it kind of fade. I'm going to change the range so it's not as... 4 seems okay. So I'm going to keyframe those two. So what I'm going to do is just going to put this in a family like this. Control Shift F. Keep it like this. You know, everything's floating around. So I'm going to take these two text effects and animate progress. So we're going to add those in. So here, of course, we won't see the text. It'll be 0. Like that. Hit key. Go to here. And set to 100. Animate through. Perhaps I want this to be delayed a bit, like that. Let's see. Now it's really slow. Right now, really slow. That's fine. We could speed this up. Let's change the speed. Let's bring everything in. Let's do 0.6. There we go. Okay, so we've got this going on. Now just make it a bit more fun. So I'm going to add the oscillator in between these. So I'm going to add an oscillator here and here on the axes. Oscillator. Might need to add like... let's just try the rotation first. We'll try the rotation and then see what on the if we need to do the other axes. And I see it's got some wiggle to it. Let's increase the damping to 12. Okay. Ready? Play. Yeah, so we need to add it on the X and Y so it looks a bit more. Again, oscillator. Y position. It'd be great if you could have one for all axes, just affect the whole axis if you wanted as well, rather than having multiple ones. Okay. So each one, the X, Y, and Z has an oscillator now. I'll select all of these together and then enter the damping. Let's try 12. Let's reduce it to 11. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'll just give it a state. Set a state there. Set a state there. So if I go into my animation now, next, previous. What I can do is I'm going to just group these. So I'm going to put a group in front of this main axis here. Merge to container. I'll just call this menu btn button, short for button. Go inside here. I'm going to expose out. I don't really need to expose it actually. I could just change a touch button in here as well. Touch node, a touch button, and from here I can delete this group now. So I don't need it because it's already in the container. So I'll put the touch button in front, and what I can do is also go into this logic here and just use the next again. Drop it on the logic. So now I just have one key. Next. So I can just use the same because it's going back and forth like that. So now click on it. The problem is, you see here, you have to click on the mesh, but if you miss the mesh, so we need to add the bounding volume as well. So it's got something. So let's add the bounding volume. So axis volume. There's our invisible bounding box. And just position it over. I'm going to change the Z space because I'm going to scale the Z to like 0.1 or something, just like that. There we go. Now we've got invisible bounding box. I can click this black space here. Oh, so it's slightly higher, so I might have to move this up. Or I could scale it up. Or I could key it to move. Let's just keyframe it to move rather than scale it. So I'm going to just change the Y position. So I'm going to make that move. So I'll go to the keyframes here. So in this position here, it should be here. And it should move anyway on its own. There we go. And then if you want, you could say, well, where is it? Presented. Let's see what we got. Let's change this to end. So what you can do is you can click on this, and if you press E, it will change the color to end. And then that's begin anyway. So begin and end. And then if you watch the state animation here, it will say you'll see end reached and begin reached when I click between the two. So end reached, begin reached. And all I'm going to do is just expose this. Begin reached, end reached. So now what if you want to do, if you wanted to add, I'll turn bounding box off. So now if you wanted to trigger a different graphic when it reaches begin or end, you could have another animation that's triggered. So it could say, if I click here, you could link to these events that I would fire. So I'll just put that in the top left for now. This. There we go. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, just the Y position I could have adjusted so it's more central on when it goes into there. Let me fix that. I'll actually fix it so it's more central. So what I could do is get the rectangle. I'll use the rectangle as a reference like this. I'll make another one in the Y and change the X like this. Oh no, that's bang in the center there. If I presented this, actually that's a 0, so that's fine. I'm just going to edit the keyframes here and just make sure this is bang in the center. And I'll do this one. Okay. And of course I have to change the X position here. and shift it up. I'll shift it up like this, and shift this one, say here. And the text we didn't animate, so that's fine. We could just change the X position on that axis right there, because we just animated the text effects. Now if we go through it, almost looks like it's centered. It's rough, but now it should be easier to move around. Yeah, so it looks more centered. So now if I move that to the top left, still in its place. I mean, that doesn't look very centered. The X itself looks a bit wonky, but you can tweak around with those keyframes, you know, until you're happy with it. I just did it by rough. Scale this down a bit. Okay. If you wanted as well, say you're not happy with that speed of the animation, we could also expose the global speed, and you could adjust that without having to go in. So you could say, well, I want it 150. Even, let's see, 300, without having to tweak the keyframes. There you go. There you go. So now you got a little animation when you click. It's too quick. It's so quick that you can't even see the text effects happening. You could go into the text effects here as well. Oh, like this. Add oscillators in between as well. You know, and give it the text the bouncy effect. So make sure you're on the line itself. You can use linear node, the damping nodes. You can use this. Where is it? If I go here, actually, sorry, it's easier to show you in the toolbox. Toolbox, Logic, Math FX. We've got all these Math effects. There's some with like ease, you know, ease. I think ease has a lot of options within it as well. So if I go here into the ease node, then you've got like elastic bounce, all these options you can tweak. It's bringing us lots of options that you can play around with. Just try them out and experiment. So I'm gonna set these to like 11. Let's see what happens when I click. There you go. Now you can see that because of the damping on the oscillator, you can see it's quite cool. There we go. So you got a little icon, menu icon. You can open and close, and you could of course link an event, something to the event when it's triggered. So if I want to link, say, example, let's just make a cube. Like this, and I have another animation, so keyframe. Like that. Take the X position. I'm going to just animate the rotation for now. It can be any animation. It doesn't have to be. It's just I'm just showing you how you can link something else to that. So I'm going to do half a second. So that's it's in, and say let's do it out. So out. Just rotate this out. I'm going to just set two states for now. S and S for shortcut. You can also click here if you want to add state, new state. You can name your states. So you could say that's out. So you know what states, what your states are in for now. You can also do the coloring, so you can color them. B is to make it green, N is to make it blue, which is normal state. P is presented, E is end. And if you want to know more about states and stuff, hit F1, and it, on an animation node or the logic, even here, if you hit F1, you get the example scene, and you also get information and an explanation of how the states work. you can go in further and you can learn about the nodes. Really good documentation. Really good documentation. Worth going through that. But for now, we'll just keep this simple. So next we'll bring is so the next state is in, out, in, out. So let's see. Let's watch what one's going in. So when I click end reach, so I want to trigger next on end reached and previous on begin reached. So that's enough. The graphic in, graphic in, graphic out, graphic in. We could just make it a bit more. So that's like half a second right now. We'll put oscillator, it'll be a bouncy cube. Like that. There we go. And of course, we don't see enough rotation on that. Oh, well, I didn't put enough, so I'm just gonna put 360 or something. There we go. Close, open, and it triggers an event. That could be anything. It doesn't need to be a cube. So that could be a list or graphic or menu, another menu, whatever you want. I'm gonna delete that for now. But that's one simple graphic. Let's do another graphics element. So I'm gonna make a bar, kind of, maybe a bar. So I'm gonna use a cube. I'm streaming. No, I'm streaming. I said I'm streaming. Cube. Get the cube. Okay, let's scale this up. Okay, I'm gonna change the rounds, the bevel size on this. You can build. Oh, sorry, that's the tessellation. That's the wrong one. Bevel radius like this. Now I'm just gonna make a simple bar. I should maybe make it round. So it's a circle, and then change the X, and then scale the Z. Oh, so if I rotate, it should be flat. Let's see. Yeah, how come that's not scaling on the Z? Maybe it is the. No, not the Y. Doesn't look like it's squishing it. Okay, we're gonna squish it on the Z here. There we go. So squish it on the Z axis like this. So squish it down. So it's a little panel. You see these on like graphics, like TV graphics and stuff, where they have these panels, might reveal score. You can create these graphics in whatever you want, Photoshop or bring in your 3D elements. I'm just gonna create some graphic element in here. So say we choose a color, like so. You can play around with the materials. I'm going to just change this to a font. Perhaps instead of that being a white, I'll go for a slightly different color. Maybe purpley blue. Let's see how that looks when I move it. Change the specular. You can mess around with this, how much specular or sharpness by changing that. That changes the specular. Perhaps it's flat like this, and then that's kind of cool. I'm gonna go to Photoshop, so let's open up Photoshop. They have quite good deals on Adobe PC. I think it's like £8 this month. They did drop the price. Worth checking out. I'm just gonna do new. I'm gonna do a 512 by 512 for now. Okay, so I'm just going to make like a little texture of like that can make it look glossy. I want to make this. Where is it? Where is it? I want to make this bar look a lot more glossy just by using a texture on top. So what I could do is fill this with. I'm going to fill this black. Oh, what's this? You get an invite. Let me close this. I don't want to play Fortnite. I don't want to play Fortnite. Anyway, and then I'm going to do another new layer. And I'm going to just draw a shape. Can be any shape you want. I'm going to draw a circle and a square. For now, keep it simple. Fill it white. So depending on the type of reflection you want, you could go for a hard edged reflection, or you can blur it. Blur, Gaussian blur, not too much. No. So if you don't want to see what it uses, maybe go for something like this. I'm going to save this as an image. So I'll save this. If you install the DDS plugins, then you have a smaller texture file, which is better. It's more efficient. I'm just going to call this reflection 1. Yeah, okay. So I saved that. So now if I go here and add the material texture, and just choose texture base for now. You can see it there, checkered. I'm going to load that texture in. So it was, what was it called? Reflection. Looks all distorted and not very nice. So what you got here, you've got on the mapping, you can change the reflection. So if we go here, 3D world space reflection, and we turn clamp off to say wrap, simple wrap. And if you start changing parameters, so right now it looks very squished. So maybe I scale it in the Y and the X like this. So now when I rotate it, you get a different glint. I'm gonna change the Y position so we get more of it on the bar itself. Maybe change the X a bit. Just keep on playing around. Maybe I'll rotate it until you're happy with the texture itself. Okay. So now it doesn't look really glossy, it just looks kind of You know, it's just highlighting the specular rather than anything. So what you can do is you've got amount, so you can alpha this. But I want to change the operation and play around with the blend modes. So see what happens. So that one, actually, you can try different operations. That's on screen. You can do overlay and then increase that. Overlay doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna change the mapping. I'm gonna play around with the mapping. Let's try spherical. Oh, saw something I just like there. There we go. I just play around with the scaling there. Just play around with the mapping till you get something you like. That looks nice and glossy. If I rotate that and I rotate the Y, a nice shiny bar. It's quite cool. That's just another way of creating elements without having to do it. And if I want, if I duplicate that, I can have a completely different graphic. Just removing this. Take the bezel down. You know. There we go. And I've got a different type of graphic. You know. And maybe even change the colors to something else. Perhaps I'll change it to grey. Get rid of that. Scale the Y on here. Now I've got, you know, can even reset that, Yes. Oh, maybe that's too small. Let's see what 0.5 looks like. There we go. You can make all kinds of, just using the shape, and you can just play around with the reflections. So I'll go back in here, change the mapping. That kind of looks cool. I've got a different bar. Just play around. I'll delete that. Yeah. So we've got this panel anyway. What you could do is now, if you wanted to add text to it, you could parent it to this. So just underneath the axis, but not underneath the pip. So just underneath, but you don't want to do this because it will inherit that color. So right underneath the material. I'm going to get some text again, text 2D, block text. Now, because this is a 3D object, we're going to have to move this in front in the Z space. But I'm going to first center the text, center alignment like that, and then change the Z. Oh, now boy, yeah, there we go. So it sits in front, like so. Scale it down. It could be like. And you notice here where I typed such a long line. Say you wanted to keep that text within. If you go here to text effects, text effects, where is it? Text effects. I'll just drop that. You've got shrink to fit. And what you can do is if you turn on the dynamic, and if I change the bounding box width, now I can say, okay, the text only goes in here. So if I type more, yeah, and that's the max it will go. It will never go over. And if I type less, it scales. It scales accordingly, so it'll stay in the graphic. So shrink to fit is really good node. So it could be name 10 dogs or something. You can put in whatever you want. Name 10 dogs. I don't know. And then of course you can change the font. Let's get something nicer. That looks, want something easier to this light looks softer, more rounded. Yeah, I'm just using the arrow key to scroll through. I'm just being a bit picky right now. Look at that. Let's do this one. Import into project, save it. Name 10 dogs. There we go. And then the bounding box off. Okay. Got like a little graphic there. Of course you don't duplicate, so I could call that 1. I'll go here, link, copy here. 2, you can also control and drag down. Other way is if you control drag and then you go more, and then you go here, you could say how many you want. If I say I want another 3, then it will give me another 3. There's lots of ways of copying down objects. So now I'll just get a range node. Make sure these all go in the arranged node. I'm going to change the Y to top chain. and an axis in front of that arrange. Okay. And space these out. Maybe I'll remove, if I have too many, maybe I'll just have 4 of them for now. Just looks nicer graphically. Now you could animate those. You know. Damn. Yeah, let's animate the Y. So if I get a keyframe, if you put this in containers and just expose the names and then the colors or whatever you wanted, you could have a logic say, well, they picked this one, highlight that color, and then you can animate. You know, you could do so much. There's so much you can do. I'm just showing you how to build little graphic elements rather than build a project. I'm not building a project. It's just short little videos. So right now, I want them to say, okay, maybe, okay. So I'm gonna say these will start at -90. I just copy these, copy that value, paste it in, so they all start the same. Make sure that's on 0. Okay, grab all these keys. So now we want to just offset them so it looks a bit smoother. So just offset, you know, offset each one so they rotate in. You can play around, and then like I showed you, if you put like oscillators in between, then they'll be more bouncy. Or you can try a different one, you know. But experiment is new. I find that's the best way to learn. 12. And now go here. Yeah, you can see. It's kind of cool. Built the elements inside, you know. If you want, like I said, if I group, for example, if I get a group, just group that. I just call this, I merge that, I'll say question or something, or Q1 for now. I'll just call it Q1. I'll delete these ones because I'll keep that main axis because that's got the animation on it. So I can delete those for now, and then we'll just duplicate this. What I'll do is turn interfacing on. On here, I'm going to expose the text, and perhaps if I want to change the material color, expose the base here and the specular. And then if I duplicate down, still the same. And now I can go in here and say, you know, tallest mountain. Name 5 birds. I don't know. It could be anything, you know. Could even be a maths question, whatever you, I don't know, whatever you want. Yeah. So you don't want to see it at the start here. We could do just put an alpha in there. It's in. I'm gonna just offset that a little. Just offset over here. I'll say here is 100% and here 0. Oh, I forgot to set the key. 0. Add the key. Alright, play. Move these keys forward. Play. Okay. Or the other way you could do it, if we don't want an alpha, could just animate the whole axis here. And then, animate the Z space so it flies into screen. I'll delete that alpha channel there. Delete that. So here, settling, and here, it's off screen. Hit play. There you go. You can try different things. Oh, you can have it alpha and fly in at the same time. Really up to you. And put two states, S there, S there. I could just merge these all to a container, table 1, example. Next, previous, of course. So I've exposed those two, next and previous. Go to our menu button. In reach, next, in reach. Name 10 ducks, tallest mountain. 5 birds, 2 plus 2. Clears it. I don't want to answer the question, And those could have events inside those, they could trigger, Let's just try different things. It's just text 2D. Perhaps those are the answers, and then the question would be there. I'll just enter that text. Set the X there so it's centered, scale it up. What did the audience, probably spelt this wrong. Yeah, I spelled audience wrong, I believe, but yeah, what did the audience pick? And then you could probably choose which one, and then have another event. Of course, in here as well, say you're not happy with that spacing, use the arrange node, space that out. What happens if it's different color? Try different things to see. Of course, then if we change a color and say we can't read it, then you might want to consider adding a solid color to the text, exposing that out, so it doesn't affect. I'll just update these. Oh, wrong one. Oh, it doesn't matter. I kind of messed up the color, but hang on. Solid no light. Yeah, that's fine. And you notice what I messed up is I called this base color and I called this base color. So perhaps you want to name that so it's not just called base color. So you can. That's your delivery. That's this text color. Some bizarre reason. Oh, and then you see we've got this extra one. So I select all those and say clean up. Gets rid of that extra one. I don't know what's going on with that fourth one, so perhaps I'll delete that and just copy this down. There you go. I don't know what I must have messed up something. Yeah. There we go. And say number 2. No, yeah. That's, oh, I pressed it too many times. There. But you see, I didn't animate it all the way off Z space because it's still on the screen. Okay, here, Z. It's completely off. And then perhaps I want to animate that text. So I'm just cut this, paste it into here. XFX. Gonna get messy right now, so you might want to clean this up, It's nice and tidy. You want to group those. Easiest ways to group these or something so they don't clash. Using the Control Shift F, make it into a family like this. There you go. Hopefully that was useful. Just another element and build. It was a short video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to keep up with making videos from time to time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.